Hey, welcome back, constant readers and bookworms. You've seen that thumbnail. You know what the video is all about. Yes, we are going back to Stephen King. I finished, I guess mid last week, Duma Key. And I had to take a few days to kind of think about it and talk about in my head, go over what I was going to say about this book, because it just left me like, just wow. So before we get started, since this is a Stephen King book, you all know that Stephen King is my favorite author. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the channel. I'm Chelsea. And Stephen King is my favorite author of all time. So anytime I do one of his book reviews on the channel, I always like to start out by saying that I really try not to be biased when I go through his books. I try and think of it as the average reader, somebody who's never read Stephen King before. Is this right for them? Kind of like how I look at any other book that I review. So with that being said, we'll start out like we always do with the covers. So the first is, this is the actual copy I read. I do not have this book on Kindle. I have a first edition hardback, and then I have the paperback. And this is the paperback cover of Duma Key. It's pretty simple. If you read the story, it does show the main character here on the title, and they're like excuse me, walking down like this beach. It has a little bit to do with the story. This is the first edition hardcover, and this book was published in 2008. So this is the first edition hardcover. And to me, this is the best cover. There's so much going on, especially after you read the story. You understand about Big Pink, the red picnic basket, the lightning storms. On the back you got fishing lures and tennis balls, and all of this makes way more sense when you read the book. And that's why this is my favorite cover. So enough with the covers. What is Duma Key about? So this is another Stephen King book that I think everybody could enjoy. You don't have to like horror novels to like this book. This is like the last few Stephen King books that I've reviewed on the channel. It's very much along those lines of like The Green Mile, The Body, which most people know as Stand By Me, Rita Hayworth and The Shawshank Redemption, which most people know as The Shawshank Redemption. It's along those lines. It's like Blaze, Lacey's story. There is a supernatural aspect to this story, but it's not like scary, monsters, werewolves, vampires, gore type stuff. The story, it's really, really good. It centers around the main character. His name is Edgar Fremantle. He was a very successful contractor from Michigan. And he gets into this horrible construction accident. A crane actually backs over his truck and crushes him inside. And as a result, he loses his right arm. His hip is like crushed. And after all is said and done, he has to learn to talk. He has to learn to walk. His whole life is like shattered because of this one event. He loses his marriage over it. He gets a divorce, and he decides he's going to take time off away from everything, and he goes down to Florida. And if you haven't watched the channel, that brings me to a pause in the synopsis of this story, because I am a geographer, and whenever a story I'm reading takes place in an actual place in our world, I like to look up that place and see pictures of it and what's going, what is the setting on where this story is going on. And Duma Key is not a real place. At the end of the book, in the afterword, he talks about how he made this place up. But it is somewhere on the western coast, western to northwestern coast of Florida, on the Gulf of Mexico, kind of like the north of the Tampa Bay area. So I used to live in Florida. I used to live in Orlando. I've been to Tampa Bay. So I know like the area that he's talking about. But as far as Duma Key, it's not a real place in Florida. So with that being said, he goes down to Duma Key, and he rents this house from this old woman, and he signs like I think it's like a year lease on the place. And like out of nowhere, he discovers that he is like an artist. It starts out with sketching, then it moves into painting, and he paints at just a furious pace. And along the way, he meets this old woman and her like caretaker, who his name is Wireman, and then he has a local college student who works for him whose name is Jack. And I cannot think of the old woman's name now. It escapes me. But the story revolves around these four people. And Duma Key has this dark history. Elizabeth, that's the old woman's name. Duma Key has this dark history. Elizabeth used to live on Duma Key way back in like the 1920s. And this whole like dark history kind of starts back there, but you don't find out about this dark history until way later in the story. And it is all connected to Edgar's artistic ability and what he is drawing. And his drawings actually have this magical power to them. For instance, the guy that he meets, he had a traumatic event happen to him, and he loses sight in one of his eyes. And so Edgar realizes he has this power through his painting, and he paints this picture of Wireman, and Wireman gets his sight back. So it's really cool how this power works, and I don't want to give too much of it away, because as you read the story, you learn a little bit more and a little bit more, and it builds up to this really amazing climactic ending. This book was so good. It was so fun to read. I finished it fairly quickly, considering I'm reading other books at the same time. It's a total page turner. You want to keep reading to know, what happens, and it moves along at a pretty fast pace. It's not like a lot of Stephen King books. They take time to set up the story, because he wants you to be immersed in everything. He wants to put you, in the town that this is happening, and he has to describe everything that's going on around you. And this one is kind of a deviation from that. He sets the story up pretty quickly, and he gets to Edgar going to Florida fairly quickly, and that's when it really picks up. And then it's just, once it's moving, it's just faster and faster and faster. The book, it never lagged. It never was what does this have to do with anything? You're always wondering, what's going on, but all of your questions are answered at the end. And as you read, you get closer and closer to those answers, and it makes you want to keep reading to find out what happens next. And you find out about Elizabeth's past, what happened to her as a child. She had a similar event that happens to her, that happens to Edgar, and their lives really kind of parallel with one another. And the ending is a total surprise ending. You didn't see it coming. You actually care about the characters. In a lot of these newer Stephen King books, you will be disappointed at the fate of some of the characters. One thing Stephen King does really well in this book, in all of his books, is the person that you're supposed to like, you really like. The person that you're not supposed to like, you don't like. And for me, in this story, that was Edgar's wife. To me, she is such a total bitch. I can't stand this woman. She has a small part in the story where you think she's going to redeem herself, and okay, I kind of get this woman. She's, not as bad as I thought she was. And then it's with just, the snap of your fingers, it's oh, of course she's going to be like that. And you just think, what a effing bitch this woman is. And I love how Stephen King does that. But this book, I love his storytelling. I love the characters. Very, very cool, very original story of his. Total 5 out of 5. If you haven't read it, check out Duma Key. To me, it's one of Stephen King's best. That's all I have for you in this video. Coming up on the channel, I will be talking about one of the 3 books that I'm reading, 3 now. Dune, which I'm over 200 pages into. I'm not going to spoil anything on that. And then some of you have reached out and you want to see the covers of the books I'm reading. So I brought my two others. One I haven't started. I'm going to start today. And that's the next Stephen King book that was published after Duma Key. It's a collection of short stories, and it's Just After Sunset. I'll be starting this one today. This will probably be one of the first books on the channel that I actually have notes to go by, because this is a collection of short stories. So I'm going to write down my thoughts on each of the short stories and then just review the book as a whole. And then we're going to go back to the 50 States, 50 Scares. I'll leave a link up above or at the end of the video for the playlist on that series, so you can check out those videos. But the next book takes place in Arkansas, and it's by John Horner Jacobs, called Southern Gods. I'm about 30 pages into it. So far it's pretty good. This is this author's freshman novel. It reads pretty good, and I'm really enjoying it. So I started that one the other day. But yeah, that's all I have for you in this video. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when a new video comes out. As always, I don't have a set schedule for videos right now because I am still in grad school and I'm busy with that. I try and do at least one video a month, but yeah, the easiest way to know when I post a new video, just hit the bell. This summer, videos have been more consistent because I'm kind of on summer break. I say kind of because I'm still doing schoolwork. But yeah, hopefully a couple weeks, I'll see you in the next video. Till then, read more books.